Ready? Start. On 4/4/1979, the plaintiff scheduled property, which consisted of a site, was allotted to the first defendant, by the Bangalore Development Authority. Stop. Based on the allotment, a lease cum sale agreement was entered into between the BDA and the first defendant on 4/4/1979. Stop. The first defendant was put in possession on 14/5/1979. Stop. On 17/11/1982, the first defendant entered into the agreement with the plaintiff, agreeing to execute the sale deed of the site within 3 months from the date on which the plaintiff obtained the sale deed from the BDA. Stop. On 1/3/1983, the plaintiff issued letters to the first defendant calling upon her to execute the sale deed. Stop. The first defendant issued letter dated 8/5/1984 intimating that the plaintiff was in breach. Stop. The agreement itself had lapsed and the advance amount by the plaintiff was forfeited. Stop. After issuing notice on 14/2/1985, the plaintiff instituted the suit in question seeking specific performance. Stop. The first defendant, after filing written statement on 14/8/1986, died pending the suit on 18/7/1994. Stop. The plaintiff impleaded the husband of the defendant as defendant 1 bracket A. Stop. Para. A sale deed came to be executed by the BDA in favor of the son of defendant number 1 and defendant 1A. Stop. Thereafter, the son executed sale deed of the plaintiff scheduled property in favor of the second defendant. Stop. It is further not in dispute that the son of the first defendant and defendant 1A was impleaded as defendant 1 bracket B in the suit in the year 1997. Stop. The second defendant came to be impleaded as second defendant in the suit in the year 1997. Stop. Both the defendant 1 bracket B and second defendant filed written statements. Stop. The trial court did not decree the suit for specific performance but directed return of rupees 50,000 with 9% interest. Stop. The High Court found that the suit is maintainable. Stop. It was further found that the second defendant is not a bona fide purchaser for value without notice of the agreement to sell dated 17/11/1982. Stop. It was further found by the High Court that the alienation made in favor of the second defendant was wrong legally. Stop. Para. Answering the point whether the plaintiff was entitled to the relief of specific performance, it was found that in the facts when the entire sale consideration was paid by the plaintiff to the first defendant, nothing more remained to be stopped done by the plaintiff, and having found that the second defendant was not a bona fide purchaser for value without notice, and taking the view that section 23 of the Specific Relief Act 1963 did not apply at all, and there being no reason to not exercise discretion in favor of the plaintiff, the suit was decreed by directing defendant 1 bracket A, defendant 1 bracket B, and the second defendant to jointly convey the plaint scheduled property to the plaintiff. Stop. We heard Srimati Kiran Suri, learned senior counsel on behalf of the second defendant, and Shri R. Basant, learned senior counsel on behalf of the plaintiff. Stop. Para. Srimati Kiran Suri, learned senior counsel appearing on behalf of second defendant, contended that the finding that the suit was maintainable was sustainable. Stop. She contended that an agreement must be lawful in order that a court may grant specific relief. Stop. It's her contention that the agreement is unlawful, being opposed to public policy, and also as it was a bargain, which would defeat the provisions of the law in question, within the meaning of section 23 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. Stop. She invited our attention to the terms of the lease cum sale agreement entered into between the first defendant and the BDA. Stop. She pointed out that there was clear prohibition against the alienation of the site or the plaint scheduled property for a period of 10 years. Stop. She drew support from the Bangalore Rules of Allotment 1972. Stop. She pointed out that the court has erred in not noticing that Rule 18 bracket 2 proclaims an embargo against alienation for a period of 10 years. Stop. The very agreement relied upon by the plaintiff was unlawful, and therefore the court could not have granted specific performance. Stop. She drew support from judgment of this court in Kedarnath Motani and others versus Prahlad Rai and others, and she further contended that the suit itself, besides being not maintainable, was premature. Stop. She elaborated and contended that what the agreement between the plaintiff and the first defendant contemplated was that the first defendant would execute the sale deed in favor of the plaintiff upon the expiry of 3 months from the date of conveyance of sale deed executed by the BDA. Stop. The agreement of lease cum sale contemplated such a conveyance in favor of the first defendant only after the expiry of 10 years. Stop. Over.